Hey guys, so I'm just going to make a short video regarding some of the events of yesterday and today, and actually I'm not even going to give yesterday's events. Yesterday was a bad day. It was one provocation after another, and I was out most of the day, so it was pretty bad. That carried on until to today. So what happened was, and I just want to give you guys an example of how the psyop works. It's that they try to sensitize the targets to certain stimuli, whether it's verbal or a gesture or something else. So imagine, you know, and there's a lot of noise going on outside that's not coming from in here. So imagine, for example, someone wants to harass a target and they want to sensitize, psychologically. So they want to sensitize the target. What they try to do is they try to sensitize the target to a certain gesture so that they no longer actually have to harass the target. All they have to do is, make the gesture or whatever, and the target's going to, have a negative response, a negative reaction. Okay, and it's also a way to let the target know that they're there, right? Here we are, right? So, let's just say, I don't know, let's say there's a group of people at work and they're going to use this psychological technique on a certain target. And so they'll take, I don't know, a purple pen, okay? And they'll click it every time they harass the target, or every time they bump into the target, or every time they do something negative to the target. And then they have, so what happens is as they move forward, they'll have someone, come by the target and, bump into the person, or, shove the person and pretend it's an accident, and they'll be carrying a purple pen, or they'll have a purple pen in their, on their shirt or something, attached in their pocket. The target gets sensitized to this object. Okay, so after a while, the target doesn't even have to be shoved or harassed in any way to get a negative emotional reaction from that specific object. That's sensitization. Okay, that's kind of, it's like anchoring. All right, that target with negative stimuli. So it's a psychological term. Look it up. Read about anchoring. Read about sensitization. Okay, and so of course then at that point, the target gets into the elevator, and someone, a man or a woman, it doesn't matter, gets into the elevator with that same object. Now the target's going to panic because now they're here, right? That's kind of like home invasion, and it's war. It's especially with everything else going on, right? With people, the one ring calls in the middle of the night, right? With people slamming on the door and running off, or leaving, garbage in front of your door, usually eggs. And for some of us, it's eggs. For some, it's other people. For us, they've also left feces in front of the door. With people just actually coming into the apartment, right? Turning the lock when you're there. And as that's going on, there's pounding coming from upstairs, and that like tapping all night long, and the people next door are pounding, and it's meant to keep the target in a battle-ready stance. See, they're going to get loud again. It's meant to keep the target in a battle-ready stance, because that's what happens when war is being waged. That it creates that fight or flight response, but the target can't flee. They follow. Okay, they follow, and you can't fight back. The target can't fight back against a massive group with money, power, resources that the target doesn't have. So as the target is forced to shut up and take it, he or she goes crazier and crazier and crazier until a final outburst. You just can't take it anymore, right? And the psychopaths will have you try to believe that the target is mentally crazy, insane, when it's not the case. No normal human being would be able to tolerate this for very long without snapping at some point. Okay, and as soon as the targets do, show signs of trauma, which is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, they're labeled mentally ill. Okay, and I think a lot of what the organizers behind the SICK program want is to create a situation where the targets are forced to shut up and take it quietly for as long as possible, because that's a buildup of pressure. That's a buildup of pressure, and eventually the target is going to explode. And that's going to happen when there are cameras and a lot of people around, and the target then gets arrested or whatever else. Because it's not human nature to shut up and take serious abuse, especially psychological abuse, indefinitely without responding. But that's exactly what the target has to do, right? And you think of the perpetrators or the organizers behind this, they don't even have self-control. If they don't like something someone does, they order that person punished severely. They're gonna inflict pain on whoever it is they don't like. That's not self-control, that's vengeance. Okay? But the targets can't even flinch, and that becomes impossible. In fact, that makes things worse. Just because a person isn't outwardly responding does not mean that they're not being hurt psychologically, physically, or emotionally. And the longer they have to shut up and take it, the worse that final outburst is going to be when it comes. And the organizers behind this know that. They know that. Okay, so that's what they try to do. And they try to provoke and provoke and provoke in as many ways as possible, and even to create this kind of swarmed sensation of, imagine someone being attacked by insects, being swarmed, and he's running around, or she, and screaming and clawing at the air, because that's kind of what it's like. It's a sickening sensation that the perpetrators try to create in the target. And of course, they want, whoever's running this, they want the target to just go quiet and shut up and take it. It's kind of like, what happened during slavery. They want the people they're abusing to learn to accept it, to live with it, and to finally take it quietly. Okay? So one of two things is going to happen. Then the abusers can either get away with their abuse indefinitely, or the target snaps, becomes violent, finally has that outburst, and the abusers put the target away, either, in a mental institution or a prison. Okay? It's provocation to the point of imprisonment. They provoke the target until the target finally responds negatively and either gets imprisoned or diagnosed with a mental illness. Anyway, so sensitizing. Within the last week or so, there's usually been a white guy, right? And he'll come around, and this happened at first maybe a week ago, and it was a white guy, and he walked in front of me, and he was waving around this long red lanyard, one single lanyard, long red, okay? Waving it around, and it was on his keychain. And he wanted to get my attention. He wanted me to see it. So I figured, okay, this is going to be a new object of sensitization. At some point, this is going to manifest in the future. Let's wait and see how. And I didn't say it out loud. I thought it. Okay, I thought it. Well, not too long after that, another guy did the same thing, right? Same long red lanyard on the keychain, waving it around for me to see, okay? Walking back and forth in front of me. About a week ago, okay? And I'm thinking, all right, at some point this is going to lead to something, and it did today. As I left today, I was in the lobby of our building, and this one man who I know is one of the perpetrators, he's made comments and gestures before, very covertly, and I just have to shut up and take it. He was trying to get my attention, and I ignored him, and he continued to try to get my attention. I ignored. I saw him at the corner of my eye, and I wasn't paying attention, and he saw me, and he didn't leave. He walked toward me, and then he walked in front of me, and I still didn't pay attention, and then he walked in front of me again until I finally looked. And of course, he had that same long red lanyard, and he was twirling it around in the same way that the other. So it was to, sensitize me, to show me that, that he was here. We know he's one of them, and just say, hey, we're here. And also because they knew what a horrible state I was in last night. I was almost at the point of hysterics, and so, the organizers knew that this is not the day to push me. Well, they knew that, I knew that this wasn't the day for them to push me, but the organizers knew that this was the perfect day, because what they hoped was for a violent outburst right there in the lobby. Why? Because there were medics there, because someone in the building was sick. So there were medics, there might have been a few cops, right? If I had, if this target had snapped and violently attacked one of the perpetrators, well, what would happen? The perpetrator might have been slightly injured, but soon enough, the target would have been pulled off of him, okay? And of course, then the target gets neutralized that way, appearing to have snapped for no reason. Okay, that's what they wanted. They knew today was the day to try to push me to that, and they tried. They know when the target is about to break, and then they push harder. Okay, they want to provoke until really a violent end. That's what they do. You have to control yourself. You can't even flinch. You can't even show, any anger, because, when this guy is doing it, well, he looks innocent. All he's doing is waving around a red sleeve. How can that a red thing? How can that possibly be negative? It sounds crazy. That's why we're not believed. Anyway, I didn't obviously do anything. I controlled my temper, and I walked out. And I went to a little store, and what happened next could be good or bad. I don't know yet. We'll see what happens. I encountered a few people, and we talked. They initiated a conversation, and we had, I think, a good conversation. It ended with me telling them, what was going on. I'm not sure I explained properly, but I think hopefully I explained enough. and they said that, maybe they could do something. We'll see, help. I don't know, it was kind of an exchange. Hey, okay, you want us to see if we can, talk to someone about this. We need something from you. And it wasn't money. It wasn't anything like that. It was actually a righteous request on both parts. What they wanted me to do was harmless, benign. So I agreed, and I'm going to be doing that since no one's going to be harmed by it. And it was all in good. It was a good-natured request. It's not nothing bad. But we'll see if they were legitimate, or if they're part of this, if it was a setup. It could have been a setup, because what the organizers do is they want to give the targets a little bit of hope. So they let you take one step forward and give you a little hope, and then they rip that all away from you. They knock you 10 steps backward, and they show you that the people you trusted the most were the least trustworthy. And because once they take away all hope, the target is going to either commit suicide or go out like one of those mass shooters. And I mean, especially those who don't know what's happening, and that destroys the targets, not just physically, but on soul level. And that's what the monsters who are running this program want. They don't just want to destroy the target physically. They want to destroy the target on soul level. And when the targets finally, if they kill someone, which most don't, they'll commit suicide, or they'll go mad and they'll be put in mental hospitals. But those few who have, it destroyed them on soul level. You can't kill and still be okay on soul level. Okay, and I'm not even talking about with God. Psychologically that damages a person. Killing is the ultimate evil. Okay, and so you understand what the organizers are trying to achieve here when they attack the targets. Okay, the psychological warfare is meant to drive the targets to that extreme. So, and giving just a little bit of hope and ripping it away over and over again, that's really the end game here. That's what finally leads the targets, even to just suicide, right? Anyway, I just wanted to explain a little bit about what happened. I'm probably not going to blog until Sunday or Monday again, or vlog. If I make another video at all, it'll probably be Sunday or Monday. I don't know. Either way, I intend to keep my promise. Hopefully they will too, unless somebody else, and someone else could interfere. Like, I tried to explain, well, someone's going to try to interfere, and I hope they understood what I meant, so that next week, and I'll find out next week, whether they're legit or not, or even whether someone else interfered. If I don't see them again, it'll probably mean that either they weren't legit, or that the organized stalkers interfered, right? So, either way, hopefully they understood. I'm going to have to start reaching out to more people. That's clear. And hopefully that's all I can do is tell them my story and hope they listen. In the meantime, someone, before I made this video, I had actually made another video, but I'm redoing it now because someone had tried to actually come into the apartment. They were at the door and messing with the lock. Yeah. So it's everything going on everywhere. That swarm sensation, right? The pounding on the ceiling all night long, the pounding on the walls, trying to come into the apartment, swarmed. Okay. And it's that instinctive, oh my God, get away, and sensation. So we gotta control ourselves. You just calm down. And that calm down does not mean take it. But we need to find a constructive way to deal with this. And we have to go massively public. Okay? We have to go public massively. But anyway, I will see how the next week goes. And anyway, just wanted to say, and I'll find out next week, same time, same day, whether or not I might get help or not. Who knows? Anyway, peace out, y'all. Have a good weekend.